Well, if you do not find a way to make money while you sleep, you will work until you die. I have said this sentence many times. People put it on t-shirts, they put it on coffee mugs, but I do not think they actually understand the physics of what I am saying. This is not a motivational quote. This is a mathematical warning. Welcome to the most dangerous trap in the modern world. We call it the employee trap. Most of you watching this video are currently selling the only asset you cannot get back. You are selling your time. You wake up, you drive to a building, you sit there for 8 or 10 hours, and in exchange, someone gives you a certificate of value called a paycheck. You think this is normal? You think this is how the world works. But in the world of the ultra-wealthy, in the world of the 1%, this behavior is considered insanity. Why? Because time is a finite inventory. Imagine you owned a store, but you only had 24 items on the shelf every day. Once you sell those 24 items, you cannot sell anymore, no matter how hard you work, no matter how much demand there is. Your income is capped by your inventory. That is your life as an employee. You have a ceiling. You can become a doctor. You can become a lawyer. You can charge $1,000 an hour, but you are still just a high-paid laborer. If you stop working, the money stops flowing. The machine turns off the moment you stop moving. This is not an accident. This is by design, and I am going to show you why. And more importantly, I am going to show you how to escape. But before I do, let me introduce myself. My name is Jack Bogle. I am the founder of Vanguard. For over 50 years, I have watched the investment world from the inside. I have watched how the wealthy build their wealth. I have watched how ordinary people destroy theirs. And what I am about to tell you comes from decades. Most people never see it, but once you understand it, you cannot unsee it. So if you are serious about escaping this trap, hit subscribe right now, because the next video will show you the exact system I use to build Vanguard, a system designed to help ordinary people become investors while the masses stay employees. Now let me show you where this trap comes from. Where does this mindset come from? It comes from the industrial conveyor belt we call the education system. Think about your school years. What were you actually trained to do? You were trained to sit still for 8 hours. You were trained to memorize instructions. You were trained to raise your hand to ask for permission to speak, or even to go to the bathroom. You were trained to fear failure. And above all, you were trained to complete tasks given to you by a superior authority. These are not the skills of an owner. These are the skills of a compliant worker. I have studied the history of education. The school system was designed in the Prussian era to produce soldiers and factory workers. It was never designed to produce capitalists. It does not teach you how to read a balance sheet. It does not teach you how to identify a competitive advantage. It does not teach you how to leverage debt. It does not teach you how to build a system that works without you. It teaches you one thing: how to be a specialized part in a machine that someone else owns. And when you graduate, you are handed the ultimate leash. It is called the salary. Now, I want you to listen carefully to what comes next, because this changed how I think about everything. A brilliant risk analyst named Nassim Taleb once said, the 3 most harmful addictions are heroin, carbohydrates, and a monthly salary. He was right. A salary is a drug. It is a steady drip of morphine that numbs your ambition. It gives you the illusion of safety. You know exactly how much is coming in on the 15th of the month. This predictability feels good. It feels safe. But, and this is crucial, it destroys your ability to hunt in the wild. Let me explain this with an analogy that changed everything for me. A wolf does not know when its next meal is coming, so it stays sharp, it stays hungry. It learns to read the environment, it develops instincts, it survives. A dog in a cage knows exactly when the bowl will be filled, so it sleeps, it gets fat, it loses its instincts, it becomes dependent. Most people are domesticated dogs living in a cage made of gold. They have traded their freedom for a bowl of food. But here is the problem with the cage. The owner of the cage can stop feeding you at any moment. I have watched this happen In every recession I have lived through, I have watched it when technology changes. The loyal employee who sold his time for 30 years is suddenly let go. He is 55 years old. He has no assets. He has no systems. All he has is a resume that says he is good at following orders. And now nobody wants orders anymore. This is the tragedy of selling time. It works until it does not, and when it stops working, the fall is catastrophic. Most people think the game is rigged. They are right, but they do not understand how it is rigged. They think it is rigged by corruption or bad luck. No, it is rigged by mathematics. I have spent my career studying this, and I want to show you 3 mathematical proofs that explain why selling your time keeps you poor. Proof number 1, the tax penalty. Look at the tax code of any major country. You will see a clear message. The government wants you to be an investor. It does not want you to be a worker. How do I know this? Because of the tax rates. When I was building Vanguard, I studied this obsessively. If you go to work and earn a salary, you pay the highest tax rate possible. You pay income tax, you pay payroll tax, you pay Social Security tax. Before that, but if you make your money through capital gains and dividends, through owning equity, you pay a much lower rate, sometimes half of what a worker pays. If you sell your time, you are penalized. If you risk your capital, you are subsidized. This is not an accident. The system needs capital to grow. It needs innovation. It does not need more people sitting at desks. Proof number 2, the inflation lagger. This is the silent killer of the working class. When the government prints money, prices go up. We know this. But here's the secret that nobody tells you. Prices do not go up for everyone at the same time. Asset prices go up first. The stock market booms. Real estate booms. The rich get richer immediately. Then consumer prices go up. Bread gets expensive. Gas gets expensive. Do you know what goes up last? Your wages. Wages are what economists call sticky. Your boss does not wake up and say, oh, inflation is up 8%. Let me give everyone a raise today. No, he waits. He waits a year, maybe 2. By the time you get that 3% raise, you have already lost 10% of your purchasing power. You are running a race where the finish line is moving away from you faster than you can run. As long as you are selling time, you are always on the losing side of the inflation equation. Owners are on the winning side because they own the assets that are repricing upwards. Proof number 3, linear versus exponential. This is the final mathematical nail in the coffin. Selling time is linear math. 1 hour equals 1 unit of pay. 10 hours equals 10 units of pay. If you want to make twice as much money, you have to work twice as long. But there is a hard physical limit. You cannot work 25 hours a day. This means your income has a cap. It is mathematically impossible for you to get rich selling time because you run out of time to sell. Wealth is exponential. It works for me while I am on vacation. That is exponential growth. My income is not tied to my effort. It is tied to the efficiency of the system I own. If you are a doctor, you are smart, but you are linear. If your hands stop moving, your income hits 0. If you build a medical software company, you are exponential. You can be on a beach and the software is still serving patients. You have to move from linear to exponential. You have to move from selling hours to owning outcomes. If you do not make this shift, you will always be one bad health diagnosis, one job loss, one economic downturn away from poverty. This is the mathematics of the trap, and understanding it is step 1 to escaping it. Now that we have proven that selling your time is mathematically a losing game, we have to ask a difficult question. Why do 99% of people still do it? Why do smart people with degrees from Harvard and Yale, fight tooth and nail to get a job that pays them for their time? The answer is not logic. The answer is addiction. The heroine of the monthly salary, when you get a paycheck every 2 weeks, it triggers a dopamine release. It tells your brain you are safe, you have food, you do not need to hunt. Over time, This creates a dependency. You start to organize your entire life around that drip. You buy a house that requires that drip. You buy a car that requires that drip. You become terrified of the silence between checks. This is exactly how drug addiction works. The dealer gives you just enough to keep you coming back, but never enough to set you free. If I gave you $5 million today, you would quit your job tomorrow. That proves that you do not love the job. You are just addicted to the drip. The price of this addiction is your dreams. I have seen brilliant men who could have built empires, but they got hooked on the lifestyle. And 20 years later, they are just tired employees with expensive habits. They traded their potential for certainty. The busy badge of honor. This is the second psychological trap. In the corporate world, if you ask someone how they are, they say, "Oh, I am so busy, I am swamped." They say this with pride. They wear their exhaustion like a medal. But being busy is not a sign of success. It is a sign of a lack of focus. It is a sign of mental laziness. The employee mindset tells you that activity equals productivity. If you are sweating, you must be working. The owner mindset knows that thinking equals value. Most employees use busyness as a shield. They fill their calendars with meetings and emails so they do not have to face the hard, scary work of thinking about their future. They are running on a hamster wheel. They are sweating. They are tired, but they are not going anywhere. You have to stop being proud of how hard you work and start being obsessed with how smart you work. The social validation trap. This is the final chain that holds you down. Corporations are geniuses at manipulation. They know they cannot pay you what you are truly worth, or they would go broke. So they pay you in something else. They pay you in status. They give you a title, vice president, director, senior manager. These titles cost the company nothing, but they mean everything to your ego. You put that title on your LinkedIn profile. You give that business card to your friends. It makes you feel important. It makes you feel like you are somebody. But here is the brutal truth. That title is not an asset. It is a liability. It is a golden handcuff. I have seen people refuse to leave a job where they were miserable simply because they did not want to lose the title. They valued the applause of the crowd more than their own financial freedom. When I stepped back from daily operations to focus on building the investment philosophy behind Vanguard, people thought I was crazy. I was walking away from prestige. But I did not care about the outer scorecard. I cared about the inner scorecard. I knew that if I wanted to build real wealth and help millions of ordinary people do the same, I needed to step out of the spotlight and think. You have to be willing to look like a nobody for a few years so you can live like a king for the rest of your life. We are now going to install the software that makes the rich get richer. You do not need to be a genius to run this software. You just need to understand 3 principles. Principle number 1, the art of equity. If you take nothing else from this video, take this. You will never get rich renting out your time. You must own a piece of a business. This is called equity. When I founded Vanguard, I realized something fundamental. The clients should own the firm, not the shareholders. I wanted to create a structure where ordinary people could build wealth through equity, not just labor. Think of every dollar in your pocket as a soldier. You can spend that soldier on a beer and he dies. He is gone forever. Or you can recruit him into your army. You can invest him. Now he goes out and captures more dollars for you, and those new dollars capture even more dollars. Soon you have an army of thousands of soldiers working for you while you sleep. The stock market is the greatest wealth creation machine in history because it allows you to buy a piece of other people's brilliance. I did not build every company in the S&P 500. I just bought the equity, and now every time people buy products from those companies, I get paid. Principle number 2, leverage without permission. For 5,000 years, if you wanted to get rich, you needed leverage. But if you write a piece of software, it costs you time to write it once, but then you can sell it 1,000,000 times. The cost of replicating it is zero. If you make a YouTube video like this one, it takes effort to make it once. But then it can be watched by millions of people. It works for you while you are sleeping. It works for you while you are on vacation. You do not need anyone's permission to use this leverage. You do not need a bank loan. You do not need a boss. You just need a laptop and a brain. Principle number 3, thinking in systems. An employee looks at a problem and says, I need to solve this. And an owner looks at a problem and says, I need to build a system that solves this. When I built Vanguard, I did not just think about making money. I thought about building a system that would serve investors for generations. I built systems, processes, structures that would work without me. Your goal is to make yourself useless to the daily operations of your income stream. If the business depends on you, it is not an asset. It is a liability. I have structures in Vanguard I have not personally touched in years. They send me results. They do not send me problems. That is a system. You understand the trap. You understand the math, but you are still stuck. How do you get out? You do not burn the bridge while you are still standing on it. The Saturday morning CEO, you need to keep your job. Your job is your first investor. It provides the cash flow that funds your escape, but you need to change how you spend your time off. Most employees spend their weekends recovering from their week. They drink, they watch sports. They are recharging their batteries just so they can be exploited again on Monday. The owner spends their weekends building their exit. You are the CEO of your life from Friday night to Monday morning. That is your real job. During those hours, you build the side business, you research the stocks, you write the code, you create the content. You do this until your part-time income exceeds your full-time expenses. This is called escape velocity. Once you hit this number, your boss no longer owns you. You walk into the office with a different energy. You are not there because you have to be. You are there because you choose to be. And let me tell you, there is no feeling in the world better than knowing you can walk away at any moment. The promotion trap, this is the final test. Just as you are starting to build your escape, the system will try to pull you back in. Your boss will offer you a promotion, more money, a bigger office, a fancier title. You must be ruthless. You must say no. A promotion is usually a trap. It demands more of your mental energy. It demands more of your time. It tightens the golden handcuffs. They are paying you a little bit more to stop you from becoming free. Do not be afraid to be a mediocre employee so you can be an exceptional owner. Give the company what they pay for. But give your best energy to yourself. Imagine you are 90 years old. You are sitting in a rocking chair on your porch. You can no longer work. You can no longer build. You look back at your life. What will you regret more? Will you regret that you did not get that promotion? Will you regret that you did not buy a slightly nicer car? Or will you regret that you spent 40 years building someone else's dream while yours gathered dust? Time is the only thing you cannot buy back. I have built a multi-billion-dollar company, but I cannot buy yesterday. You have right now. The door to the cage is open. It has always been open. You just have to be brave enough to walk out. Before you leave this video, I need you to do 5 things right now. First, like this video. When you like this video, you are raising your hand and saying, this matters. Share this message. Second, subscribe and hit the bell. Do it right now. The next video shows you the exact investment blueprint to build wealth while working. Third, comment which chapter hit you hardest. Was it the education system, the math, the psychology? Write it down. Fourth, share this with someone who is drowning in